Yeah, I think we do need to take a real beat to talk about the news that we got from former President Joe Biden just moments after he had stepped into the Capitol Rotunda. It was actually 11:38 exactly that this announcement hit my inbox. An extraordinary and unprecedented announcement to preemptively pardon multiple members of his family. We are talking about Biden's siblings and their respective spouses being offered preemptive pardons. The timing just could not have been more remarkable given that it came just moments after President Biden had ridden in the motorcade with President Trump. They had shared pleasantries inside the White House over tea. And now we had this announcement from the former president, again, Joe Biden, saying he worried about how his own family members would be targeted by Donald Trump. And I am told by a source familiar with his thinking that this was in no small part driven by Donald Trump's public promise to appoint a special prosecutor to go after every member of the Biden family, that this was something that was incredibly worrisome to Joe Biden, that's something that really haunted him as he thought about the prospects of his life after office. And if you look at the extraordinary written statement that we got from President Biden, it kind of gets at that sentiment. He said, even when individuals have done nothing wrong and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage their reputations and finances. Anderson, as we watch President Biden take off, now that he is no longer the sitting president, I mean, we have been talking about all of the different ways in which he himself ended up tarnishing his own reputation in these final days in office, including reneging on his word to be a bridge candidate by seeking a second term, the decision to pardon his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he wouldn't. And then with this, the preemptive pardoning of multiple members of his family, it was back in December of 2020 that he told our colleague Jake Tapper regarding reports of Donald Trump at the time potentially preemptively pardoning his own children. He said, in terms of the pardons, you are not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. It's just going to be totally different, the way in which we approach the justice system. Well, as it turns out, Anderson, there was another promise broken. That is exactly how he has ultimately decided to approach the justice system. And this is a decision that is going to raise so many alarming questions about the legal precedents that this now sets, and will have been really one of the very final acts for President Biden as a sitting president. And here he is now flying off. We know that he is going to be going on vacation with the former First Lady in California, where, of course, some of his family members reside. Anderson?
Alyssa, it was remarkable. There were pardons earlier this morning for General Mark Milley and others. These last-minute pardons were clearly timed. I mean, they were signed before, but timed to be released after the car ride once the final inauguration was beginning.
Yeah, it very much felt like a news dump of pardons. There was no way there was going to be good coverage around this. And while I think many people could argue why Milley, Fauci, and others should be inoculated with these pardons and not prosecuted for doing what they did as government officials, this is much, much muddier. And the right has argued for years that there are foreign dealings, there are ways in which the Biden family has profited that should be looked into. And this just underscores what so many in this country believe. And Joe Biden sang a very different tune to Jake Tapper and to others about how he wouldn't do this. And it feeds into this notion, the same party that runs on upholding democratic norms, Joe Biden in many ways undercut them in the end. And I think that puts Donald Trump in a stronger position of power. But one thing I was really struck by watching this is the mainstreaming of Donald Trump. Of course, he was a president before, but you can't dismiss him as an anomaly anymore. He is as much part of the fabric of American history as Barack Obama, George Bush, and you saw it from the tech titans there to the A-list celebrities like Carrie Underwood to, the CEO of a fashion conglomerate. This is a very different Donald Trump presidency than the first time he was in office.
If you're going to do these things, I was covering the Clinton White House when at the very last minute when the then soon-to-be former President Clinton was on his way to the Capitol when they pardoned this billionaire, Mark Rich, who was a fugitive and had violated all sorts of sanctions against Iran and other countries around the world. It's just unseemly. If you're going to do it, have the courage to do it in the light of day and explain it to the American people. It's a stain on his legacy to do it like this. We can have an argument about, is it necessary? Has Donald Trump promised retribution? Yes, he has. But if you're the President of the United States who said that the curse of Donald Trump was that he didn't respect democracy and didn't respect norms, have the courage to look the American people in the eye and explain what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was done suggests that there was something wrong with doing it. He tried to slip it in in the final minutes, and that was
really the escalating rhetoric from Trump, though. I mean, he says in the pardon statement, he said, you know, this acceptance should not be misconstrued as an admission of guilt.
No, I know what he said. I mean, he said that. Yeah, I know what he said, but the fact is that Trump has been saying this for a long time. That doesn't explain why in the last 10 minutes of your presidency you
in the spouses
slip
names,
a
I've never
release
heard
out
come
there.
out of Donald Trump.
It just made the whole thing look tawdry.